Hello there and welcome to this week of Rugby League. It's a rather skinny week of Rugby League, if I can use that expression, when you compare it with the weeks that we've had during the Winfield Cup over the last, say, 30 weeks. But it was final day, and the NEC big game, of course, featured the clash between the Tigers and the Dogs. And Balmain were out to make Rugby League history. They were trying to win the grand final from 4 or 5. It's never been done. Of course, Balmain, they'd taken North-South, Manly out and South-South on their way to the final, and they were to play the defending premiers, who, of course, wanted to go to the grand final to make it 3 in a row, as Parramatta had done in 81, 82, 83. And so the stage was set for a real blockbuster of a Rugby League event. It didn't turn out that way, as Balmain played Canterbury for the right to go to the grand final and play Parramatta. Here's the highlights. Hello and welcome to our NEC big game final in the Winfield Cup between Balmain and Canterbury Bankstown. The winner of today's match going on to play Parramatta here next Sunday in the grand final. Well, the Tigers and the Bulldogs, they've met twice this year, with the Tigers being the victors on both occasions, and their last win by the huge margin of 28-0. Balmain can't afford to let that win, nor the win last Saturday over South by 36-11, go to their head. Here's their full lineup. Jack Gardner, Conlon Schofield, Jamie Davidson in 18 for his brother, Bridge, Gale, Hardwick, Brooks, Sirenen, Marquito for Roach, Elias and Hemsley. Canterbury, well, they had that 28-6 loss last Sunday to Parramatta, and all that will do is inspire them to greater heights as they defend their crown. Their team readout is Sigsworth, Farrer, Hagan, Chris Mortimer, O'Brien, Lamb, Steve Mortimer, Langmack, Folkes, Dunn. Kelly's come in at the last moment in 34 for Johnston, Bugden and Tunks. Michael Stone is the referee for this NEC big game final from the Sydney Cricket Ground. Big crowd here at the Cricket Ground today, the biggest of the final series thus far. Probably, I'd say, over the 30 towards the 33,000 mark. And basking in beautiful sunshine, some parts of the ground. That's looking back into the Blawongal. Jamie Davidson, I told you in the rundown, in the side, under rather unfortunate circumstances, obviously, but they did keep it all in the family, didn't they, the Davidsons? And Peter Kelly in the headgear wearing 34. He won the game ball in the 2 grand finals that Canterbury have put together in successive years. So it's Balmain running from right to left. And the ball, a rather shallow start to the game, and Folkes was very lucky. He was running close to the grass. He got under a swinging arm from Hemsley, or Tunks came in for a battering in the opening tackle on him anyway, and here's a penalty going to Canterbury. Marquito, the offender, he's in for Roach. They went swirling in on top of big Peter Tunks, and they didn't get off as quickly as referee Stone would have liked. And Farrer finds the line about 5 metres on the Canterbury side of the halfway. They won the toss and elected to run with the breeze today, Canterbury. There's Roach in the stands as the ball goes away to Chris Mortimer. Now it's done. Got a good pass away to little Terry Lamb. Now it's Canterbury just into Balmain's area as the ball is floated to Kelly. Big Sirenen's got him in a clamp. He got it away to Folkes. Sirenen doesn't know that Kelly unloaded the ball, and he proceeded to drive him back towards the Bradman stand. Away now for Mortimer and on to Farrer. Farrer in very close to the action as he's put down. No gaining ground made by the Bulldogs with this passage of play.
Balmain are tackling with plenty of venom, but over the last few weeks they've changed their defensive pattern. They've got Scott Gale out of the sweeper position. He's up in the front line. That means there's a bit of space at the back. Mortimer could chip into that area.
Gary Jack will play it on his own quarter. Russell Gardner takes the ball a couple of paces out, and here's a penalty. It's against Peter Kelly. His tackle on Russell Gardner has met with the dissatisfaction of Michael Stone. See it again. He go. Oh boy, the left knee over the back of the kidney area. Lower grades coming up. 28-6. The Panthers defeated the Magpies. And there's that reserve grade score, but I think that's around the wrong way. You'll find that East defeated Norths. All right, so it comes away for Marquito, and they go in. Folks over the top. Langmack underneath. Ball played back to Benny Elias. He looks and he goes himself. Benny Elias, a run of about 20 metres. Good break made by Benny. Away now for Gale. On to Bridge. There's the kick, plugging it into the Paddington Hill corner. Schofield's going very fast with Sigsworth. Line drop out to restart. Good tactics by Balmain. Canterbury renowned for their defence coming up out wide, umbrella-ing. And that kick is going to make them probably think twice in the next set of 6 where Balmain are holding a similar field position.
Balmain are a very well-balanced side. They're a team that needs plenty of watching. They attack from dummy half through Elias. They attack through first receiver in Scott Gale. They attack out wide through Schofield and from the back with Gary Jack. Now that means that they're going to take plenty of watching from this Canterbury defence.
Drop kick by Terry Lamb is going down to Jack, who comes over the 40, and all folks came over the top. Lamb was underneath, and the Australian fullback plays it, and Kevin Hardwick takes it ahead, and they're only 32 metres away from the Canterbury line now. All played by Hardwick. It's come to the left, and it's with Brooks. He beats Kelly. He's taken by Folks and Tunks. I was talking to a guy last night who is fairly familiar with Canterbury. He's predicting that Folks will only play for 20 and then come off. Sirenen tackled by Folks. I'll tell you what, he's made plenty of tackles, Stephen Folks, in the opening exchanges. It's gone out to Bridge, and Bridge, he beat Lamb, but he was tackled by Dunn. And Bridge will play it on 5. It's gone to the blind side where Elias puts in his kick. It's not a bad one. Sigsworth underneath it, and he comes down 15 metres out from his own line. Have a look at Sigsworth, a beautiful picture of a fullback under pressure, taking it immaculately. Graham Hughes on the sidelines. The reason for the late inclusion of this fellow Kelly, please.
Kelly managed to ring Coach Warren Ryan this morning to make himself available. He requested a fitness test. That was granted to him at 2 o'clock this afternoon here at the ground. All the players were called into the dressing room for a late team meeting. They were all informed of Kelly's availability, and to a man they stuck with him in confidence, and Kelly was then included in the side just after 2 o'clock, and Johnson back onto the bench.
Okay, Graham. Ball played by Jamie Davidson, and Gary Jack goes out from dummy half. He got a shoulder from Tunks. The big fellows are tackling heavy. Penrith won the 23s, 28-6. East won the reserves, 29-14. So those two sides will go to the grand final day. Touch judge in from the far side. It's a Canterbury player. He's calling number 1. Sigsworth jogging up. Tackle by Sigsworth on Elias when he kicked, I would think, the bomb into the Paddington Hill corner just a few seconds ago. Elias has got a rather intriguing look on his face. I'm wondering whether the report is about Sigsworth or about Elias. The penalty has already been given to the Tigers, and it's Gale who finds the line. Balmain haven't beaten Canterbury at the cricket ground since 1971, as it goes to Bridge and across out to Conlon, running hard but not making any ground. Bridge it is, who looks for a runner, but nobody wanted it. That's where he's going to miss a bloke like Roach. As it's played by Bridge back to Elias, a cut-out pass, and Brooks goes up inside the 32. Ball back to Elias, then to Bridge, now to Gale. Gale to Sirenen. Sirenen taken by Dunn, pulled down by the big fellow. Big man on big man.
Thurin playing the ball just outside the quarter. Away now for Benny Elias. He puts the kick in. It looks too big. No, he got a good bounce. Sigsworth forced to take it. He'll make the field of play. Tackled by Elias and Bridge, and he's given a penalty. He's given the penalty for not rolling away from the tackled player. They hung in there and they forced him back into the in goal. Michael Stone in the hot seat today. There's no question Sigsworth is tackled in the field of play, and the Tigers have decided to go for a little bit more.
Balmain have learnt their lessons well from the way Parramatta played against the Bulldogs last week. Parramatta kicked the ball continually. That meant the Canterbury defence was a bit hesitant about coming up. They're not normally like that. Balmain, they're trying to employ the same sorts of tactics to keep that strong defence of the Bulldogs at bay.
We're at the 8-minute marker first half as the ball is kicked on the first tackle. It's going down for Gary Jack, and he comes away from his own line. He reaches the 10. He goes out to the 15. Folks hits him heavily. Chris Mortimer comes over the top, and the ball is played back to Jamie Davidson, and he's hit by Kelly and Chris Mortimer. Jamie Davidson plays it. Benny Elias gives it to big Kerry Hemsley, and this is the area of the field that Balmain have to play safety first football. Up till now they've enjoyed a territorial advantage over Canterbury. I thought Hagan's tackle might have been pinched by the referee. It was allowed to go. It's with Gale. He gets a hurried kick away, and it's taken by Sigsworth, and they come up with the ball, Canterbury, and Farah takes it up towards the halfway. Conlon makes the tackle, and it'll be played just on the Canterbury side of halfway. So out of all of those tackles, Balmain really didn't do their job well. They kicked to clear, but when the opposition comes up with the ball on the first tackle, 2 metres into their own half, you can bet just your bottom dollar that they would be very happy, the blue and whites. And should that be the trend of the game, then Balmain are going to have to improve and improve rapidly. Now Dunn will play the ball. He's a couple of metres into Balmain's area as Bugden is trapped in possession from dummy half. Now it's 5 tackles gone. Terry Lamb to Steve Mortimer. His kick is going to be taken by Gary Jack back in the in goal. He'll have to hurry. They're coming at him. He's going to make the field of play, and he's tackled by Big Andrew Farah 5 metres out from his line. Well, many personalities, of course, come to Sydney to watch the finals. Graham is with one of them now, a former co-commentator of mine. In fact, my very first in '74, Kenny Irvine.
Ken, a fairly even start to the clash.
Yes, Graham, it is. Balmain have started pretty confident, which I think they've got to against this great Canterbury defence, especially in the forwards there. It's very, very hard out there, and well, at this stage, I fancied Canterbury before the game, but of course it's early stages there, didn't it?
I know you've been following the semis recently. A guy you must take a lot of heart in, a lot of pace, Scott Gale. He's a great player for Balmain. He's a great player, and he's probably one of their dangerous players because speed's always a great asset, you know, and Scotty's lucky enough to have it, the same as Stevie Mortimer. Of course, Steve's slowing up a little bit now, but he's their danger player. I would think now that Roach is out, he is virtually the ball player and the gun player for the Balmain side, and they've just got to contain him. I notice that Gold Coast sunshine isn't disagreeing with you? No, it sort of agrees with us up there, but we've been down for a week or so now, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it here. We've had some beaut weather here, and well, it's more like cricket weather, isn't it, than football weather, and I reckon it'll be pretty hot out there in the middle of the day. Great to see you back. Great, thanks very much, Graham.
Talking about Mongo Suntan, he had a pretty good foundation to start with, Graham. And here's a scrum to restart play just on the Balmain side of halfway. You're watching the opening minutes of our full telecast here at the cricket ground today. Steve Mortimer, he got under the tackle of Gary Jack and got it away to Steve O'Brien. Tackled by Gardner and tackled by Jack. Play just outside the Balmain 22 as it comes to Langmack. Langmack tackled by Hardwick and also by Sirinen. Marker defence required here as Kelly is picked off by Sirinen. Good tackle by the young second rower. And Kelly gets up and plays it back, and Bugden hits the blind side for Dunn, and Dunn is able to get it away to Bugden. Bugden looks for Langmack. Langmack, oh, Gardner was between Langmack and O'Brien, and he snatches the ball out of midair to save a certain try.
There it is on the replay for NEC.
I think that was a pass that if Langmack could take it back, he wouldn't have thrown it. It wasn't late in the tackle count. Gardner was between he and O'Brien. He should have hung on to that one, and Canterbury could have attacked from the next play the ball.
So the ball is to be played by Michael Marquito. Jeff Robinson was up on the corner of your screen there just a couple of seconds back, and Benny Elias has kicked it too big. It's out on the full.
Here's some real pressure for Balmain now.
This is the football that Canterbury thrive on playing. They get you down in your own quarter, they pin you there, and they wait for a mistake. Now, early in this game, it was Balmain doing all of the attacking. They were putting the heat on. The tides turned slightly. Canterbury now have got them down in their quarter. They've had them there for the last 5 minutes.
So it's Mortimer and Langmack from the scrum base, and Langmack goes in for the easiest of tries. Simply the old half-back lock forward 1-2. Canterbury won the scrum from the feed. Mortimer faded to the blind side. Langmack came up on his inside and got the reverse ball. Langmack, the try scorer.
Well, the only man that could have stopped this was Kevin Hardwick, the lock forward for Balmain. He'd come out on the open side. He didn't adjust quickly enough. The second rower on that side was far too slow to get out of the scrum also, and the old chestnut for Canterbury worked.
So Paul Langmack at 21 is looking down the barrel of a grand final and a kangaroo tour in the 1 year. Terry Lamb with this kick from practically in front, 15 metres out. 67.3 the success rate for Terry Lamb. That was Paul Langmack's 14th try in first grade. Terry Lamb now looking for the extras, and he got them easily.
Terry Lamb, the Players' Player of the Year, converts, and it's Canterbury 6, Balmain no score.
Let's take a rating, a breeze rating from Graham Hughes, keeping in mind that it's behind Canterbury, who are guarding the Paddington end in the first half.
I think if you take a quick look at the scoreboard, 6 points to 0, that's about how I would assess the breeze. A perfect day for football when the wind does gust up. It is behind Canterbury. We've already seen that once when Andrew Farrow went for the line.
Chris Mortimer making a big break for Canterbury. Tackled 10 metres from the halfway line.
Played back to O'Brien, and here they are pumping away at the blind side, and Dunn it is who gets it to Langmack, and Langmack out the back. It's picked up by Terry Lamb. Lamb is tackled midway, 22 halfway. Balmain's entered the paddock, and Balmain are anxiously trying to regather their defences now as Hagan is brought down. Play just outside the Balmain quarterway line. Played back to Bugden. Bugden to Mortimer. Mortimer for Folkes now. And Folkes is tackled on 5.
Folkes has more than justified his spot in the side. He's defended well, but he's been in the thick of the action in attack as well.
Now it's Sigsworth who gets the kick in, and it crosses the line at the 22 point.
It's probably worth mentioning that's the first occasion that Canterbury have kicked for the sideline in this game. They've preferred to kick for the try line and try to get territorial gains. I'd say the reason for that is Benny Elias and the rest of the Balmain pack of good scrummagers. Canterbury aren't taking the risk against losing too many scrums against the head.
Scott Gale tackled, and it's Gary Jack hitting the back line now. Actually, I must admit I was surprised Benny Elias would try and find the line when kicking from inside his own quarter. In my opinion, you're far better off just driving it straight down the paddock and getting some good field position. Because even if you do find the line, you haven't got the feed anyway.
Well, I agree with you fully. The only reasoning behind that could be that Balmain agree with us, and that is they think they're going to win a few scrums against the head.
So they get a penalty here, the black and golds. That man with the football, Scott Gale, he's had a tremendous end of season, and it's up to him, I think, more than anybody else out there now to bring Balmain back. Remember they were down 12-0 here? It was him, Scott Gale, against Manly, who turned them around and said, come on, we can still win. And they did. Now they go blindside, and Conlon gave the ball to Sirenen, but it's a knock-on, and it'll be a scrum. Midway 22, halfway, Canterbury's end of the field. service the scrum. Won by Canterbury. Mortimer goes to the open side, and Brooks and Hardwick are there to make the tackle. Now it's away to Terry Lamb. Andrew Farrer on the run round. 40 metres out from the Canterbury line. 23 minutes of the first half to go, and Lang Mack, the try scorer, is tackled. That's Tunks. Conlon holds him tight. Played back to Dunn, swept away to Mortimer, given to Lamb. Lamb shapes to kick and then does a jink. Gets the ball back to Mortimer. Mortimer gets it away to Folks. Folks on to Sigsworth. He's over the halfway before Schofield gets him. Then through Hagan to Farrer. Farrer's going down the touchline. Terry Lamb's on his inside. He tried to send a kick.
Oh, there should be would he kick and not pass? Should be a penalty here to Canterbury anyhow. There was a player held back, but Andrew Farrer, why did you ever put your foot to that ball?
Terry Lamb, as you can see by the pictures, was running unmarked, and he had support with him. And again we see a player wanting to revert to the kick.
All these Balmain backs are offside in front of the goalpost.
You're not wrong. In fact, Conlon is standing alongside the front row. And it's a penalty to Balmain. Well, how about that for justice? Balmain's outside centre, Conlon, was standing adjacent to the front row, and they get the penalty, the black and golds. So Scott Gale finds the line. They needed that penalty, the Tigers. Folks. Punching tackle by Folks and Bugden. How many tackles has Folks made at this stage? He's made 10 after 18 minutes.
There's been 10 good ones.
Exactly. Played back to Elias and given now to Marquito, and Marquito is nearly to the halfway line. Playing it back to Benny Elias. He cuts out Hemsley, but it's all happening too slowly as Gale puts in the kick. It won't find the touchline. Sigsworth will bring it back. Gartner's come through from behind the kicker, and he makes the tackle inside the 22. Oh, Joe, it's been a long career for Russell Gartner. Chris Mortimer. Simple little dummy and then making about 15 metres. It's away for Steve Mortimer, and it's gone on to Hagan, and now it's with Farrer. Balmain are going in, but they're not making tackles complete.
No, they're not, and there have been a lot of improvements in the Canterbury game from last week. I think Terry Lamb's trying things on his own. He's a brilliant individual player, and that's good news for Canterbury Bankstown. The other thing that they're doing well is they're playing the ball much more quickly than the Tigers are.
Done now. He'll play it. He's midway 22 halfway, his own into the ground. Away to Steve Mortimer, on to Terry Lamb. Lamb sees an opening. He went between Marquito and Serenan. Gale is chasing. Lamb kicks over the head of Jack. Coming fast is Hagan. Oh, it's touch and go. Off whose hand it came.
It's a Balmain hand.
It's a line drop out, so it's come off the hand of the defending team, Balmain.
And here's Terry Lamb trying things on his own. He saw a bit of a space and he realised that he could push through.
There's the kick by Lamb. Then the race was on, and off the hand, I think, of Gary Jack, in fact. And this line drop out into the teeth of the breeze. We'll see Balmain turn around with more pressure. They're trailing 6-0, and there's 19 minutes of the first half to go. The kick coming down to Terry Lamb. He sends Phil Sigsworth towards the enemy. He's tackled just outside the 22.
If Canterbury can't put a try on here in the first 2 or 3 tackles, a field goal would be the right tactic.
Played by Dunn back to Bugden, Bugden to Tunks, and they're certainly working for what appears a drop goal setup. They're keeping play in the centre of the ground. Played by Bugden, back to Mortimer. That's the delay they were looking for, but Lamb still has ample amount of time to take a drop goal, and that he does. So Canterbury are leading Balmain by 7 points to 0. But it seemed that Terry Lamb was given a heap of time, and still he was able to get his kick in. 7-0 in favour of Canterbury. Balmain A wave to an unsatisfactory start, to say the very least. As Conlon kicks off, we're back and running again. Let's take a comment from Graham.
Very tired looking forward, packed down here on the sideline. Canterbury is starting to make inroads in the worst place imaginable in a game like this, right up the middle of the rucks. And the guys that have been making them have been Terry Lamb and also Chris Mortimer when he's moved into the dummy half position, or one off the ruck. It's not a good sign as I look out there now. Marquito and Hemsley caught out very wide on this left-hand side of the ruck. That's where they should be, in the middle, trying to stop guys like Tunks.
Ball coming away for Dunn, and Hemsley went in with a shoulder charge, and it's with Folks now. He plays it back to Bugden, who gets it off to Farah. And see, there's the Canterbury tactic. Farah going for a big torpedo punt to get some better field position. It won't find touch. It's Gary Jack who goes away 10 metres, 15 metres out from his own line. He picks up Jamie Davidson, and Farah and Folks are there to make the tackle.
Oh, this is a different Canterbury side from last week. They're hitting in 2s and 3s, and they're making those tackles count.
This is Gary Bridge. Well, they're the defending premiers, and they want the chance to defend their title, and they realise that it all rests on this one. Sirenen plays the ball as their coach Warren Ryan watches from the member stand, and Marquito throws off a stupid pass. Away from Kelly, it's gone to Dunn, and now to Langmack. Hemsley came up too quickly, and Hardwick has to cut him down. 8 on 8. And a penalty goes to Canterbury. They'll pick up another 2 points here, probably, as a touch judge comes in from the far side. Let's have a look at it. Langmack was tackled by Hardwick. And Hemsley comes in over the top and makes a good job of the tackle. I doubt, though, that that's got anything to do with what you're watching now. I've got a feeling that it's got something to do when you might have heard me say Hemsley went up too quickly. He went up, and I've got a feeling he might have used the elbow to block a Canterbury player out of the action when Langmack was running free with the ball. Steve Roach at the moment being sadly missed by Balmain. Peter Mortimer and Billy Johnston and Jeff Robinson up in the Canterbury dressing room. It's the outside room there that you see, the dressing rooms at the cricket ground. For you people who haven't had the chance to be in there, there's John Davidson watching with the arm in the sling there. There's a room, of course, outside the main dressing room proper. That's where they mostly watch it from. 1 from 1 for Terry Lamb. 2-hour telecast tonight. We're here through until 8 o'clock. We'll be followed by our grand final preview. We'll take a look at the combatants for next weekend. Terry Lamb stabbed it. He likes it. It's a goal. The flag's in the air. And Canterbury are leading Balmain by 9 points to 0. So we're here with you for Sydney viewers until 8:30. The football will be on until 8. You'll be watching an unedited version practically of the match, followed by the half-hour grand final preview. Farah, tackle just outside the 22 line. Bugden, away now for Chris Mortimer. Tackled by Hardwick and also by Scott Gale. Now it's Bugden, away now for Tunks. Terry Lamb. Sigsworth. Oh, that's a better tackle by Surin, and at least he went in with purpose and he cleaned the man with the ball up. Well, that pass from Mortimer to Kelly. Look, here goes Gale. This is the break Balmain were looking for, and Scott Gale scores. I wonder if you're about to see the Balmain resurgence. Look at Jack.
He knows exactly what that means to his team. They were looking for the confidence boost from the player that I told you had to do it. Kelly, of all people, came up with the football. I'll swear blind the pass from Mortimer to Kelly was forward. And then poor old Peter, he had to kick. And Gale charges down. Couldn't have asked for a better bounce. And in he goes to score. And I wonder, does he start the Balmain resurgence?
Couldn't have hoped from a worse result from this attempted clearing kick from Mortimer on to Kelly. He's not the man to be performing that job. No doubt he hasn't practiced with the side much over the last couple of weeks with his injury. Plenty of pace in Scott Gale. He was able to pick the ball up. No one could get near him.
Well, there they are, the Balmain boys, and Benny Elias is really laying it down. The trainers are out there. They're taking messages out from Frank Stanton. Benny's laying down the law. Conlon sets himself to try and give them another two, and Conlon misses badly. 9-4 in favour of Canterbury over Balmain. So we come back to halfway for Andrew Farrer. But taking Graham's Breeze assessment of 6 points into account and looking at the clock, 12 minutes to go, this match was looking bleak for Balmain on the other side of the unconverted try, but now not looking quite so bad. As Farrer kicks off, it's just a matter of what those points on the board for Balmain will do for them. I expect that it's going to lift them right up. Sirenen will play it. Elias will be the dummy half. Of course, the question is, have they the personnel out there to take advantage of a confidence boost? It's Elias away now for Gale. Gale on for Schofield. Schofield hit by Lamb and by Hagan and by Langmack coming in to make the third. Elias throws the dummy, pinches about 4 metres and is tackled by Langmack blocking up the centre. It's played back to Schofield, who gives it out the back for Gale. Gale gets a torpedo punt away. It's going close to the line, but it's with Sigsworth, and he crosses the 32 almost before being tackled by Hardwick. It's going to be played now by Sigsworth as Canterbury get a replacement ready. They put the runaround on, Mortimer and O'Brien. Let's take details of this Canterbury replacement, Graham.
David Boyd on the sideline in 15 for the man hitting the ball up now, Steve Folkes. The way he's played, I would have been very, very tempted with only 10 minutes left on the clock to check him out at half-time. He's certainly been one of the Bulldogs' best.
So, my informant of last night, you were wrong by 10 minutes, but he told me Folkes would play 20, and he was spot on. So I'll make a similar phone call next weekend. It's away now to Lamb, and Lamb is kicked down inside the Balmain 22. It's with Gary Jack, and he'll come outside the 10. He'll make 20. He comes up towards the 22-metre mark before O'Brien and Chris Mortimer make the tackle. Well, I suppose the bulk of Rugby League people would be thinking, here's Gartner making a run. They'd be thinking that Folkes is coming off with that ankle problem. But the story in Rugby League is that it is the groin. The operation that he had on the groin, it's still the groin that's giving him the trouble more than the ankle. I wonder what is the true story. But I'll tell you what, his contribution, Steve Folkes, here in the first 30 has been equal, if not better, than any of his other 5 forward colleagues. This is O'Brien. He comes out to 32. Hardwick is the tackle. Steve Folkes off, big contribution. 9 points to 4 in favour of Canterbury. Boyd has gone on. Away ball, the ball goes to Boyd now, and he just started to crab across the ground a little bit. He plays it back to Bugden. They've got a roll on Canterbury, and Balmain are not going up and meeting them as keenly as they should. The ball to be played by Dunn on the halfway. It's with Kelly, and Kelly runs right past the advantage line. In fact, he runs to the defence line. 5 gone for Canterbury. The kick is coming possibly. This is the one they do like to run on, though, as Tunks gets a kick in. And he finds it only about 15 metres out from the Balmain line. 9 minutes of the first half to go. The cricket ground, they've played 21 times. Canterbury have won 12, Balmain 9. And keep in mind that Balmain haven't won here since 71. So it must have been bleak for Canterbury before 71. Here's Gartner. He's tackled just inside the 10. Played back now for Bridge, and Bridge is held there by Boyd. He's on in jumper number 15. Canterbury have kicked 11 times. Balmain have kicked 6. Marquito to play it. Back to Benny Elias. Away for Gale, and Gale puts a step in, and he crosses the 22. And it's an ominous sign for Canterbury when Gale decides to run with the ball. Here's Sirenen, again showing all the toughness and the talents that have been heaped upon him. The praises have been heaped on him this year. And here's Gale getting a kick in. It's going down to Sigsworth. Sigsworth comes away. He's met and tackled there by Jamie Davidson. And Sigsworth will play it back to Andrew Farrer. It's away for Terry Lamb, and on for Steve Mortimer. Now for O'Brien, tackled by Bridge and Schofield, and it'll be played 35 metres out from the Canterbury line. Tunks keeps up the rap, and he goes around and gets a flick off to Chris Mortimer. He finds an opening and comes to Benny Elias, who makes the tackle with Marquito coming over the top. Steve Mortimer goes from dummy half, gives it to Paul Dunn. Dunn is ridden by Sirenen and held by Gale. There's a little bit of a dust-up goes on in the back play between Chris Mortimer and Marquito. The kick in general play won't find touch. Gary Jack is having a busy time. He's coming out towards the 10-metre line. He gives it to Jamie Davidson, who has tackled 15 metres out from the Balmain line. Ball played back for Gary Jack, and Jack is held by the jumper there by Kelly. And coming over the top was Boyd. Away goes Hardwick, and he's outside the 22. And as you so often see from the little Kevin Hardwick, he goes in with the head down. He normally comes out the other side of the tunnel. Big Kerry Hemsley takes a battering as he's tackled 35 metres out from his own line.
If you like tactical, no-nonsense football, well, this game's a classic.
And there's the kick by Bridge. That's better tactics by Balmain. Nowhere near the adventure in the kick from Gary Bridge. He lobbed it 10 metres in from touch and hoped the ball would do the rest, and watch the bounce. That's exactly what it does. And so now, this is where they hope to win a scrum against the feet. Touch judge will make a report probably about the Chris Mortimer, Mike Marquito affair that I called to you out of your screen a couple of seconds ago. Nothing in it, absolutely nothing in it. It was Sunday school picnic stuff. An absolute and total waste of time, this confrontation. So the committee meeting by the judiciary is over. As I said, an absolute waste of time. Big dummy by Lamb, out to the 32 and cut down by Hardwick. Played back to Mortimer, Mortimer to Langmack, Langmack taken by Brooks and Hardwick. And they're 10 metres on their side of the halfway, the Bulldogs. Now it's with Dunn, and Dunn is met by Bridge. Coming in and driving in was David Brooks in that tackle. These two front rowers, what's their combined tackle count for Balmain? Tunks gets a pass away to Boyd. Boyd is tackled by Brooks and Elias. But I do think, I just feel that there's too much work being left to Elias and Brooks and Hardwick. The props have made 20 between them as Canterbury rush down the Pat Hill stand side of the ground. The fifth tackle has been indicated. It's gone to Steve Mortimer. He goes for the line. It'll go in touch in goal. It'll be a 22-place kick to restart. Steve Mortimer waving players over to the right of the ground. Be prepared for the quick restart, he's saying. Tap by Brooks. Takes 6 or 7 metres. So 9 points to 4 if you've just joined us. You're watching the almost unedited version of this match at the cricket ground, the Winfield Cup final. 17 for Hardwick, 14 for Brooks on the tackle counter. Hemsley throws the ball out the back. Jamie Davidson's got it. Not held. Now he is. Farrer reached up out of the ground like a worm and pulled him down. Marquito belts his way up to the 40-metre line. 8 o'clock we're going through to with the league, and then the grand final preview through until 8:30 tonight. That's up in front of the movie for you. We'll have some interviews from the rooms. We'll have, of course, the highlights of matches these two teams have played this year. The kick is down to Sigsworth. Conlon must have come from behind the kicker. No, the referee said he did not, and that's why he's given the penalty. So Canterbury will take the penalty from inside their own 22. 3 1/4 minutes of time in the first half remaining. The Tigers and the Dogs. Andrew Farrer finding the line. 4-2 scrums to Canterbury, all going with the feed. 5-4 penalties to Balmain. Under 3 minutes of the first half remaining. And here's Langmack coming down the blind side. Sigsworth, the fullback, was there. And he plays it. Well, he's playing it now. On the halfway, Mortimer decides to go himself, and he runs into Siwan and Marquito. And here's the referee jumping in to extinguish what could have been a nasty situation. Now, what's he got him for, Graham? You were sitting right on top of it.
Well, he managed to bounce the little fellow right back. As he did, he thought he'd better finish it off, and more or less the forearm went straight into Mortimer's face.
That's what the replay showed us, Graham. And a penalty goes to Canterbury. 2 minutes of time remaining first half. Penalties are 5-5. Farrer taking the line kick.
2 minutes is a long time in a game of football. Canterbury should just about play out their 6 tackles here.
What do you reckon they'll do, Graham? Go for a blindside rush?
Well, it's their last scoring opportunity before half-time. It's worked for them on so many occasions where they'll just probably set up for the 1 or 2. If they decide to come back down the blind, it'll be Langmack. Here he is now.
There he is. And Jamie Davidson, Graham, I was watching him closely. He stayed on his winger. He let Langmack do what he wanted to do.
Well, that's what he had to do on that occasion, but don't be afraid. If Canterbury get close to this try line, Mortimer will dash into the dummy half position and try and pick up a runner out wide, either his brother Chris or even Andrew Farrer if he comes back infield after this other play of the ball.
Right, he's 10 metres out now, playing it back to Bugden. 1 1/4 minutes to go. The kick across the ground, pressure, pressure, it's a try! It's a try for Chris Mortimer.
Canterbury try scored by number 4, Chris Mortimer.
Chris Mortimer has scored for the Bulldogs. 13-4. And right here, I think you may have seen Canterbury make their way to the Winfield Cup Grand Final. I had the feeling that Balmain could go in at 9-4 down and come through as winners here today. But now that task becomes very, very difficult. Russell Gardner got an absolute mongrel of a bounce. He didn't get much room either, Gardner, but he got an awful bounce. Watch it. The moment he went clutching at it, it bounced away from him, and Chris Mortimer said, "Thank you very much. That's what we wanted." So the brothers put it together. The brothers Mortimer. Terry Lamb from 20 metres out, 20 metres in. 2 out of 2 for Lamb. If he kicks this, 15-4 will be the half-time score. There's no more time left in this first half. It's all gone. Well, mark that down. If we're looking for where this match was sealed later in the night, just mark down that point. 1 minute from half-time.
It's happened again. That last 5 minutes before half-time, it's just a susceptible time for the fences.
What about you, Bill? I can still hear you saying 2 minutes is a long time in foot.
Sure is, particularly with that half-time break coming up.
2 from 2 for Terry Lamb. His Bulldog colleagues are still on the field, but they're very close to the exit towards the member stand dressing rooms. And there's the kick. It looked good off the boot. Oh, this man, he hasn't got a nerve in his body, Terry Lamb. 15 points to 4. Canterbury leading Balmain at half-time. Let's take a comment from the former Bulldog, Graham Hughes.
Great performance in this first 40 minutes by the Canterbury Bankstown forwards. They say they play best under criticism, and that's what they've been getting in the last few weeks. They've put in a big one in this first half. Balmain, to me, I said halfway through the first half, their forwards were looking exceptionally tired. Both their front rowers, Marquito and Hemsley, getting caught out wide. The key, as always, for the Tigers, Scott Gale, to try and turn something around in the second half. But he's up against two great men in form, Mortimer and Terry Lamb, and they're the ones that are just running this football game.
In the reserve grade game earlier, Eastern Suburbs 29 defeated North Sydney 14. The grand final next week in reserve grade is between Parramatta and Eastern Suburbs. And next week's grand final in under 23s, South Sydney playing Penrith. Sydney Parramatta defeated Western Suburbs by 28 points to 6.
Canterbury Bankstown already out there in the centre of the Sydney cricket ground as the Tigers come down the chute from the dressing rooms to resume this match with all the work in the world to do, trailing by 15-4. In that 15 for Canterbury, tries by Langmack and Chris Mortimer. Lamb 3 from 3 and a drop goal. And of course the try for Balmain was scored by Scott Gale. There's the first half tackles. Balmain 105 with Hardwick 17, Brooks 15. And for Canterbury, well, Folkes was only there for 30 of the 40 minutes, and he came in second on the Canterbury tackle count. I hope you're enjoying the telecast wherever you're watching, and in particular to our friends in Canada, in England and in Europe. This is the final of the Winfield Cup. One more to come. Here in Australia, we call it the grand final. In America, I think you call it the Super Bowl. A beautiful day here in Sydney, a summer's day. And next Sunday, let's hope that they give us a similar one, because it's an enormous day here in Sydney next Sunday. And our telecast will start at 10 a.m. with a telecast of all grand finals as Gale kicks, and it's fielded beautifully by Sigsworth on the first bounce. And he is tackled by Bridge and by Schofield. Played back to O'Brien and given now to Lamb. Lamb tackled by Elias and Hemsley. Tunks is limping just a little bit as the ball goes out now for Boyd to try and bustle his way through, but Elias and Brooks again with the tacklers. Now Mortimer gives it to Kelly. Kelly shaped to give it inside, but he's tackled there by Kevin Hardwick. Played back, and Bugden gives it to Dunn. Dunn able to make 5 or 6 metres, and then it goes to Boyd in the number 15 jumper, and pulled down very close to that touchline in front of the Hill stand. 32 metres out from the Balmain line. Steve Mortimer turns it back in the blind side for Langmack, who kicked. Jamie Davidson got a very good bounce. The bounce that Balmain would be wishing to heavens that Russell Gartner had have got. Jamie Davidson hurt in the tackle. Let's have a look at this tackle on Jamie Davidson. It looked like it was all legitimate. Tunks sort of went in with a half shoulder charge over the back of Chris Mortimer's tackle, or Michael Hagan's tackle, I think. His brother John Davidson with that left hand of his heavily strapped. He's a meat boner, I think they call him, a meat boner, and he got confused between what he was boning and his hand got in the road, and that's why he's not out there today. That's David Brooks. It's not gone for Balmain, but that's 6 points just in front of half-time. It's made this task an enormous one against Canterbury. Just over 32,000 here at the cricket ground. As Gale gets a kick in, he had to rush it, but it's going to find touch nevertheless. 24 metres out from the Canterbury line. That's a good kick by Gale. It's been a feature of Canterbury's game today, however. They've put pressure on the kickers. It mightn't pay off all the time, but it's worth
their tactics of
the effort.
Their tactics have been good. Steve Mortimer's gone into second mark and got out very quickly and put pressure on the Balmain kickers. That scrum penalty, I don't know how Mickstone's given that one way or the other. I couldn't have made a decision. Mortimer put it in the second row. There were feet everywhere, but that's the way he's seen it.
Well, there's no doubt in what he's done. He's ruled on the first breach that he's seen, and that was, of course, the feet of the Balmain hooker across the scrum. But watching from up here, all we saw was Steve Mortimer put it in the second row. But he's penalised Balmain, and Canterbury get the penalty. Stone, the number 1 referee today. Roberts in reserve grade. As Lamb is tackled. Of course, there's been plenty of talk about who's the number 1 referee. This is Dunn taking it over a halfway line, tackled by Hardwick.
Balmain aren't putting Canterbury on the ground. Terry Lamb took the ball up from that tab. He was failed to be put on the ground. The second hit up was by Paul Dunn. Same thing. He stood in the tackle. You just can't do that. Once Canterbury gets some momentum on you, you'll never stop them.
Stone giving the penalty to Canterbury, ruling that Balmain were inside the 5. Tunks knocked on as he came up. Here he is, Tunks, going up with it. He's ruled that Gale was inside the 5. He held giving the penalty back quite obviously. Why? I'm blowed if I know. They'll tell you that it was the advantage being applied. Farah will take the kick, not Lamb. But if they're inside the 5, why not give the penalty before Tunks takes it up and then knocks on? Of course, they'll tell you that it's the advantage, the discretionary advantage that the referee applies. Andrew Farah. What's that suggest to you, Graham, that Terry is feeling that knee?
Well, not just the fact that he has that knee strap, but we are into a fairly stiff breeze at the moment. It's just suddenly decided to blow up here. Lamb was undecided about taking it first off, and Farah's the only man to get the distance here. I don't think Terry would have made it.
Alrighty, here he goes from right in front. It's an awful kick, and it's fielded in the in goal by Bridge, who gave it to Jack. And Jack, ooh, gee, Tunks is going in with some shoulder hits, and they're really having an effect. There's Benny Elias underneath there. Tunks is playing like a man inspired.
Well,
today.
it may well be that Tunks has got a message from his coach, Warren Ryan. Give us 10 minutes in this second half, and then I can put Jeff Robinson on, because that's certainly the way he's approaching the game.
Right, it's played by Hemsley, and it's with Marquito, who's outside the 22. We're looking for Scott Gale now. He'll be the man required to clear. It's a bad play, the ball, and all they're doing is, you see, it might seem a minor thing, but Hemsley played that ball so badly that the time he consumed put the pressure on Gale, and Gale couldn't get a kick in. They've had to wait for another tackle, and now they've found the line, so it's turned out to be a blessing in disguise off the boot of David Brooks, the man on your screen now. The only reason I extended that piece of commentary was just simply to point out there's a big prop getting up to play the ball. He plays it sloppily, and he puts pressure on a bloke like Scott Gale, who's appointed to clear with the kick.
The Mickstones rule, there was a touch there by a Canterbury player in flight, and consequently Balmain have got the feed and the loose head from this scrum.
The Tigers cheer squad is now heard loud and clear over the Sydney Cricket Ground as they realise with this scrum penalty that they have a chance to put on one of their plays.
Keep your eye on Gary Jack.
All right. Benny Elias will take the tap 15 metres out. Brooks goes ahead, and he's tackled only 6 metres from the line. A converted try for Balmain would make it 15-10. Oh, the pass is forward from Elias. No doubt in the world the pass from Benny Elias was forward.
Please go to the snack bar underneath the Churchill stand. Debbie Holland, please.
Fed by Mortimer, and it's against the feed, won by Balmain. A try coming up, is it? Scott Gale can't make it. Great defence by Canterbury. Tremendous defence by the Bulldogs.
And now it's a penalty to Balmain against Langmack for lifting the foot and striking prematurely. So Balmain will go back to where they started from and probably set up their same play. Gale is going to kick it backwards. I don't think there's any need to do that anymore. In fact, he could have moved the point of it. Now it's Marquito. Tackled by Kelly. Scrum one against the feed by Elias. A tremendous defence by Canterbury displayed. Here's Balmain on their second tackle. Blindside for Gale. Gale to Brooks, and Brooks tackled by Mortimer and by Dunn. 10 metres from the Canterbury line. Away now for Elias and out for Bridge. Back for Elias. Elias looking for Gary Jack. He stands and says, come on, give me some runners, please. We're going backwards. And they have. They've lost 20 metres. Away now for Bridge. Back for Sirenen. He palms off Kelly. He gets the pass away. This is play on. It's still play on. It'll be a line dropout if Marquito makes that tackle. He does. The ball was knocked down by Canterbury. So most definitely it was play on. But apart from the fact that Balmain went forward in the last instance, they were going backwards in possession. Badly looking for somebody to take it ahead. 15-4 in favour of Canterbury. Balmain need a converted try, and they need it very, very quickly to put them back on the rails.
And what Canterbury need is a Balmain mistake.
Played by Jack, and Bridge passes to Hardwick, and the little fellow reaches the 22, and that's a good bulldogging run by Hardwick, forgive the pun. Canterbury have a player down injured as the ball comes to Bridge and goes to Conlon, and Conlon tries to give Schofield the impossible ball.
There's the mistake that Canterbury needed.
Canterbury coming up with the football. I'm looking over here to try and pick who's injured. I think it's Mark Bugden. Mark Bugden is on his back receiving attention. Graham, we're just watching a replay here of the ball going to ground and Canterbury coming up with it. Did you see anything involving Mark Bugden?
No, I didn't manage. He went in hard on a tackle now as Balmain and Frank Stanton make some changes here. Bevan out there in 16 for Kevin Hardwick, and Myler in 14 for Gary Bridge.
All right, so
Gary Bridge, number 6, leaves the field for Balmain.
Gary Bridge coming off. And Kevin Hardwick. Myler and Bevan, they both look to Bombers attack players who might turn it around. This is Lamb. There's the score for you, 15-4 in favour of Canterbury. Struck 4 by Balmain. They come up with the ball from the play the ball through Benny Elias. Played back to him and given to Hemsley. Hemsley pulled down by Dunn. Bugden went over the top, and Hemsley will play it. Playing it back now for Marquito to go ahead. He's almost to the halfway line. Canterbury leading by 15 points to 4. Here's the ball now with Paul Sirenen. Kelly wraps him up with Tunks. And Paul Sirenen plays it back to Elias. It's gone through Gale and Wismailer. He holds it back, and this could be a shepherd. No, he didn't rule that way. I thought Myler might have got a shepherd off Bevan. 5 tackles gone against the Tigers as Bevan sweeps it to Schofield, then to Hemsley. The run around was on, and Hagan comes up with the ball for Canterbury. Now let's go to the sidelines. Here's Graham with the indisposed Canterbury fullback Michael Potter.
Michael might have been 11 points your way at half-time, but these last 5 minutes have just showed that you can't go to sleep against a back line like Balmain.
Yeah, Balmain, they've got an excellent back line. They've got plenty of speed. And with Gary Jack coming in, he's always dangerous. I think they've got to watch him mainly.
Great first half by your forwards.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, they're going well.
Steve Folkes proved his fitness.
Yeah, he'll be right again next week too.
Is there any further word on David Gillespie?
No, not that I know of.
Michael Potter's away till next year.
Yeah, well, that's just one of those things.
Okay, well, can they hang on here? I know 11 points, Balmain with this breeze. Everybody's turning their eyes all the time to Scott Gale, aren't they?
Yeah, he's very dangerous. He's got plenty of speed. He'd probably be one of the fastest men in rugby league, I think. And he can chip over the top and regather, as has been seen a couple of times. And I think our forwards just got to hold him out and keep tabs on him, I think.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
So here's Paul Dunn trying to get the ball out the back, and Balmain have come up with it. That was uncharacteristic Canterbury play there. As it goes away now to Bevan on to Gale on to Myler. That came off a Canterbury hand. Schofield flick passes and Gardner puts it down.
It was bad play by Canterbury. Warren Ryan wouldn't be happy with that at all. Paul Dunn pushed a pass that was never on. Canterbury are in front. They're in control of this game. They don't have to score points. They've just got to stop them being scored against them. You do that by controlling possession.
Warren Ryan has gone down onto the Sydney Cricket Ground surface to relay a message for...
I think Warren's going to do this one personally. We're in front here. Let's just play simple football and wrap it up.
All right, so it's with Paul Dunn, and he's tackled right on the halfway. Playing the ball back to Terry Lamb. So it's Balmain coming up with the ball. Myler throws it out, and he sold Benny Elias a dump. Sirenen comes up with the ball, tackled by Dunn. Billy Johnston coming down to the sideline. Now it's Bevan who's tackled. 10 metres on the Balmain side of the halfway. Gale across the ground finds Schofield. Schofield looking for a hole. Looking to pass, now looking to run. Steve Mortimer cuts him down. They're 5 metres into Canterbury's area as it goes to Gale. Gale goes for the chip. Dunn appeared to knock him over late. It'll be a penalty to Balmain where the ball landed. 32 metres out approximately from the Canterbury line. That was the incident. A little bit of academy stuff involved in it from Scott Gale. But the fact is that once he's kicked and cleared, Dunn is not entitled to interfere with his progress. Mark Bugden is distressed, very much so. We've read about Mark in the past. He's an asthmatic. Billy Johnston in 21 taking the field. Ross Conlon's only had the one shot. And 26 minutes of this one to go. Conlon will put this ball dead even if he misses. The kick looked good off the boot, but it's wide and over the dead ball line for the 22 restart to come from Canterbury. 15-4 in favour of the Bulldogs. The message came, I believe, from Stanton to the team. Kick for goal. Lamb restarts, and down it goes to Sirenen, who's over the halfway. He's had a great game, Sirenen.
So's the guy that just tackled him, Chris Mortimer.
Hemsley. We've already seen that Gale is ready to go. The fact that he chipped there and got a penalty indicates to me that from here on in he'll be looking for every little opportunity. Any nook, any cranny, he'll be trying to duck into it. This is Myler. 40 metres up. Now it's with Gale. He sweeps it away. Oh, come on, you Balmain backs. Gee. Everything that's happening on the inside is being undone out wide. Peter Johnston coming out now for Canterbury. As Gale kicks, it's Andrew Farrer who cleans it up down near his own line. Gale makes the tackle, though. And away goes Sigsworth from dummy half. The ball has gone over to O'Brien. O'Brien was cleaned up in cover there by Jamie Davidson, and the touch judge has gone in. Touch judge in. That's Terry Lamb in possession of the ball. Tackled by Conlon and Davidson, and I think it's Conlon. It is who's coming out for chastisement. Let's have a look at it. The pass was a little bit, how's your father? Davidson went high on Lamb. Pretty sure Terry's wife likes his face the way it is, and then Conlon goes in. And I'm not sure what happened. It was obviously on our blind side, but on the near side for the touch judge. But in the meantime, the other touch judge has gone in. Chris Mortimer's come out. The giving man of the match awards at half-time, I think Chris Mortimer might have got it. He still may. Penalty going to Canterbury, just outside the 22. 23 and a half minutes of time remaining. And there it is, 15-4 in favour of Canterbury through Mortimer to Sigsworth. Sigsworth ducks under them. He's up now to the 40-metre line. Tackled by Bevan. Away now for Langmack. Met by Brooks. Good tackle by Brooks. Played back to Johnston. He goes himself. He's run into the arms of the marker. Brooks it was again. And Johnston plays it to Steve Mortimer. This is Kelly as Canterbury play it close to the chest. Mortimer's over the halfway. Short ball for Lamb. Lamb taken by Elias and put down on the 32-metre line. Played back for Johnston to Tunks. Tunks gets the ball away for Dunn. Dunn is inside the quarter. And there's a set of 6 tackles, and Canterbury only use their forwards, their half and their 5/8. Their back line might as well not be out there as Terry Lamb. Oh, what a kick! What a great kick from Terry Lamb on the 22, an acute angle, and he puts it over politely to make it 16 points to 4 in favour of Canterbury over Balmain. Well, he's a magnificent little player. There's no doubt that Ryan has sent the message out to them. Just play it safe, for heaven's sake. That's all you've got to do. Here's O'Brien making a good run. Kelly has come off in 34. Johnston, Graham Hughes, let's check the replacement with you.
Well, he's out there already, nearly on the ball then. Peter Johnston in 11.
Right, so Peter Johnston originally advertised to take the field.
To Canterbury, Peter Kelly, number 34.
Out there now. Johnston gives a neat pass away to Farrell. There goes now for Tunks, and Tunks on now for Boyd. Boyd! Jack is chasing. Johnston's inside. So is Mortimer. That's play on. No, he's ruled that it went forward. And a scrum will go down about 15 metres out from the Balmain line.
Canterbury now looking as if they're going to go right on with this.
Benny Elias getting some treatment. Keto is going to hook. It's a very, very important scrum to be trialling a hooker, but Benny Elias is injured. And there it is. Marquito wins it. Gale! Gale, he pushed off one, but reading the play was Sigsworth to perfection.
It was well done by Sigsworth. He put pressure on the runner there. Farrer came in between the 2 players, and Gale's pass went astray.
Is it out to Lamb? Away for Hagan, and Hagan is 10 metres into Balmain's territory. Benny Elias back on his feet. Lamb, Sigsworth, just one pass from dummy half to the first runner. Well, the dummy half goes himself. That's all they require. Here's Tunks. Flips it out the back. That's Boyd. And they're down near the 22 line. Canterbury now looking certain to play the grand final with Parramatta. They're going for their 3rd grand final in a row. They're on tackle 5 here. Mortimer decides to work the blind side. Lamb is tackled. That's a turnover. Balmain getting a replacement together. John Owens is going out. And it's a knock-on against the Tigers. Scrum will go down about 15 metres out from the Balmain line. It was Scott Gale who again showed that he was prepared to try anything. 12 mistakes in the handling department by Balmain. 4 by Canterbury. Mortimer, he's over! The little Canterbury halfback, Steve Mortimer, from the scrum base, scores right under the black dot. So the ball was fed and won. He came out, and I'm still looking for the Balmain lock forward. I'm looking for a quick break by the second rower. By the time all that happened, Mortimer was off. He was away and scores right in front of the Bradman stand patrons.
Scrums are good positions to attack from, because once you get in behind that defensive line, there's no one home. This was the situation here. Mortimer got in behind them. The second rower unlocked for Balmain, slow to come out. Of course, Steve Mortimer, once he gets a sight of an opening, that's say good night.
So I'm just wondering now, as it becomes obvious that Canterbury are going to play the grand final. Jeff Robinson has come to the sideline, incidentally, to come on. Jeff Robinson in 14. But it becomes obvious now that Canterbury will play the grand final against Parramatta. Ryan going over with Robinson towards the sideline. And they're talking to Tunks. Robinson as yet hasn't replaced him. Tunks from right in, Lamb from right in front, and Tunks is going to stay there. I'm wondering what the Parramatta players are thinking as they watch this final unfold. Lamb successful as he converts the try of Mortimer. Canterbury are leading Balmain by 22 points to 4.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're leaving the ground from the Bradman or Hill stands in the concourse areas going to Driver Avenue and the council car parks, please
Jeff Robinson has been told by a smiling Warren Ryan, this property.
Paddington Hill is for Moore Park Road.
I'll give you a gallop in a moment. What an impressive list of reserves Canterbury have, though. There's Jeff Robinson, of all players, the last on the list of replacements to come on, and would sit into a first-grade spot on a permanent basis just about with any other Sydney club. Billy Johnston, the same. Now it's Lamb. Play just outside the Canterbury 22. Play back to Billy Johnston. And he's out to the 32. Parramatta and Canterbury, as I've so often said, as timeout is called by referee Stone. John Owens goes out in 25, and it's Benny Elias who's coming off. It's the end of the season for Benny as far as the Winfield Cup is concerned. What a mighty performance by the little man right through the year, but particularly in the absence of Wayne Pearce, Benny Elias has done a magnificent job, and I think he'll be rewarded with a kangaroo jumper to soften the impact of this defeat here today. A consoling chat there from Coach Stanton, and Tunks has now come off, and big Jeff Robinson has gone on. 22-4 in favour of the Dogs. They'll play Parramatta in the grand final. These two sides have dominated the grand finals, the premierships in the 80s. Jack picks it up, Lamb comes through, puts them all on side, and Jack is put to ground 32 metres out from his own line. Schofield, a handoff for Gartner, very nearly a forward pass. It was Canterbury who snuffed Balmain out last year. Here's Canterbury coming up with a mistake of Tony Myler. And now it's with Dunn.
I've got the feeling now that Canterbury are secure. Even though there are 15 minutes to go in this match, they'll forget about closing it up now. They wouldn't have been happy with their game last week against Parramatta. They'll want to work on a few things. They'll want to try things. They'll want to make sure they've got their rhythm right for the grand final. I expect Canterbury here to try and open this match up in the last 15.
Robinson put down 20 metres away from the Balmain line. Mortimer decides to go a couple of paces before picking off Lamb, and Lamb is tackled by Myler. 5 gone. And so, again, a team from 4 or 5 finds it too difficult. The kick and a penalty to Balmain, surely. He had no hope in the world, Gary Jack, of taking that ball. Have a look at him. Chris Mortimer, he went in on a mission to tackle Gary Jack, and that was very much taken out of a book that you might have been reading on Rugby League before they made the rule change. This is John Owens. Gartner. Now There's the lower grade results. Penrith won the 23s 28-6. East won the reserves 29-14. And they will be both screened live next Sunday on grand final day, the 23s and the reserves. Souths and Penrith will play the 23s, and the reserves will be East versus Parramatta. And we'll have a coverage, as I said, of all three grand finals live. 22-4 currently here as Schofield chips, makes the pursuit, but O'Brien is there to cover, and he's tackled 40 metres out from his own line. So it was Parramatta 81, 82, 83, Canterbury 84, 85. 1980, of course, was Canterbury as well. Highlights of those grand finals coming up for you in our preview between 8 and 8:30. Robinson over the halfway line. Forced back, there's the scrum. 6-4 to Canterbury. Penalties 9 all. Now it's done. Well, I guess the other contentious issue as they come up to the grand final is who will referee it. Lamb floating it over for Hagan as they use the blind side. Lamb is inside the 22 and nicely cut down by Gale. The ball coming out to Gary Jack. It seems, of course, that Michael Stone has the front running as he does this final today as Jamie Davidson makes a break. But, of course, the other man, Roberts, is the tried and proven performer in big matches. Gary Jack chips ahead. It comes down for Andrew Farrer. Farrer's back into Balmain territory, gives it to Langmack. Langmack to Chris Mortimer. He's tackled by Conlon and Schofield. Langmack to the blind side. O'Brien met and pulled down by Schofield and Gardner. Away from dummy half goes Billy Johnston. And they're only 10 metres out from the Balmain line now. Away for Boyd to give to Sigsworth, now to Dunn. And Dunn gets a ball back inside for Lamb. What a great try. What a try. Scored by little Kerry Lamb. It's almost like the nursery rhyme. Everywhere that somebody went, Barbar was sure to follow. Ball done, an immaculate ball. He stood like a colossus. He looked around for support. Who do you think would be coming? The little bloke they call Jockstrap, Terry Lamb.
Terry Lamb's never off the ball. He's the best support player in the game. You can see him here tailing up on Paul Dunn. But the ominous thing here for Parramatta supporters, and they've still got to be favourites in the grand final, but Canterbury Bankstown, they're starting to put it all together.
Well, there's only 11 minutes to go. Terry Lamb will take the kick at goal. Dally M, 5/8 of the year. 86, Clive Churchill, Player of the Year. Australian rep in 86. Rothman's medalist. Dally M, Player of the Year. Is there anything else he can do? Four from 4 in the goal-kicking department today. 14 points in the match today. And here he is now from 20 metres out, almost in front. Top point scorer in the year. And there he is kicking the goal to send Canterbury to a lead of 28 points to 4. Canterbury 28, Balmain 4. You're watching the dying minutes of this final. Sigsworth going back. Terry Lamb, incidentally, is playing his 66th first grade game today for Canterbury. I've got a feeling Terry Lamb today has eclipsed the 400 points. playing for Canterbury in first grade.
Robinson. Dunn.
Paul Dunn is unable to go on, and the referee is calling somebody out. He's calling Hemsley over. Now, Hemsley was in the tackle, he and Marquito. This man, Michael Stone, of course, he was coming to the top as a referee when he damaged a knee, and it needed a lot of rebuilding, that knee. And well, I've got to say this about Michael Stone: I think he's a good ref, and he deserves to get right back amongst the top spoils in refereeing. I just hope that the grand final referee, having said that, is chosen by the league and not by pressure, brought to bear on the league by people involved in the game from the clubs that will play it. And let me tell you, these two clubs that are going to play the grand final, and I'm not taking favourites here, they've both in their time brought pressure to bear when it comes to who's going to referee what. So good luck, John Quayle. I hope you come up with the right name for the job. I think you will. Done now, inside the 22. Picked up by Owens, he can't handle, and the referee's already blown his whistle, so it's going to be a scrum 20 metres out from the Balmain line. Well, how must he feel, Steve Roach? I said it at the end of the match the other day, and I've got no reason to change what I said. He showed a total lack of on-field discipline. And there they are going around out there, and oh, how they need him. Mike Marquito trying to play it, but Balmain get the penalty. Talking to referees, Stone and touch judge Ryan, the best of mates. So it could well be that they'll do their first grand final as a combo. Jack knocks on, Canterbury come up with the ball, and it's going to be another scrum. I just saw Graham Hughes walk along to say something to Warren Ryan. I think Graham has suggested to him that he might come on and talk with us. It's Gale away now for Myler, who puts the kick in and out on the full. Nothing's going right today for Balmain, but then again they are playing, in my opinion, a more purposeful and a more committed Canterbury team than the one that went around against Parramatta last week. In fact, you'd swear blind there are two Canterbury teams, and they've nearly got enough players for two teams, but this is not the same performance in any shape or form to the one we saw last weekend. Lamb working with Mortimer, another scrum-based move. Now it's Langmack. Unable to continue. Let's have a look at this and see what's happened. There's the official attendance, 32,341. Still, I would think a fairly disappointing crowd to see a final between these two clubs. Paul Langmack may well be injured, and he may well be in total need of the attention that he's getting out there at the moment. I just hope and pray that next Sunday the two clubs competing play the game in the proper spirit, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you've got to play it totally to the rule book. Let's get 80 minutes of action. Dummy half Billy Johnston. He's probably become now, with what appeared total distress for Bugden, Graham, it looks like Billy might have jumped back into the seat at the right time with a good chance of playing another grand final.
Well, it happened to Billy himself some years ago. I just wonder about Bugden, the way he went off, though. If it was more or less a touch of concussion, I don't know if it was the asthma. We haven't been able to confirm that because of the heat that was out there in that first half, but just goes to show you the strength of the club. I've always tried to compare both guys. Mark Bugden, a great running hooker from the dummy half position, and Billy Johnston probably having a better service for the Canterbury side from that position.
Owens inside the last 5. It's incredible, you know, how you talk about a team needs 2 first-grade teams practically to go on and win the Winfield Cup. And yet Canterbury's performance in the lower grades just hasn't come to the surface.
Well, it may well be that they're a club that concentrates on their first grade. You know, some clubs concentrate on the total club effort.
Didn't help St George last year, did it? It didn't help the Saints very much, did it? Maybe this is the way to go. Marquito finding the line now. A big win here for Canterbury, 28-4. Balmain, of course, they had the playoff against Norths. They won that. Then they beat Manly. They put paid to them. And then they got rid of Souths. And people were starting to say, here's the first team from 4 or 5 to do it. Gary Jack has busted Canterbury. He's running hard. Sigsworth won't catch him. Jack has run around him and gone on to score. Well, if you ask Phil Sigsworth right now, how fast is Gary Jack? I think he'd tell you, well, I completely underestimated him. Sigsworth had him in his sights, but Jack actually ran away from him. This was Jack coming off a second pivot. He burst into a hole as Balmain got the chance to play Canterbury out wide. Sigsworth had him, but then Jack just ran away from him. And Gary Jack goes in to score a try of really no account for Balmain. 28 points to 4, 28 points to 8 now. Ross Conlon from the 22 on an acute angle. He hasn't kicked a single goal today. There he is from near the touchline. That looks better, and he's got it from the touchline. 28 points to 10 now in favour of Canterbury over Balmain. The dying minutes of this match. Parramatta, of course, waiting for Canterbury now to come through to the grand final. And the Eels, I'm not sure whether it was yesterday morning or this morning, they played the first against the reserves at the stadium. Behind locked gates, they played two-handed touch in a full-scale dress rehearsal for both teams. Timeout, replacements, and all the rest of it. Two-handed touch was the name of the game. As we come down to the full-time siren, we'll have the man of the match award for you, and then we'll go on with our grand final preview. We'll have some highlights of these two teams as they've shared the premiership spotlight. Jamie Davidson kicking, Steve Mortimer cleaning up. We'll have a look also at the contest between Parramatta and Canterbury through the year. As as Andrew Farrer is tackled about 32 metres out from his own line. Bill and Graham will be down in the dressing room areas, so we'll have any up to the minute information from there. As Johnson gets a pass away, scooped up by Myler. Myler away to Schofield. They should score, they do. But it's all too late for the Tigers. All it's doing is placing some respectability back on the scoreboard. 28 points to 14. As Gary Schofield scores for the Tigers. Peter Johnston took it up. It went off the shoulder of Steve O'Brien. Was picked up by Myler. He gave it to Schofield. And Schofield dummied to Gardner to go in and score. Again, Balmain, well, at that time they came up with some ball that they didn't expect to get, but again, on the extremities of the field, they played Canterbury and they were able to come up with a try. I think you're wasting your time thinking that you can go up the middle with Canterbury. You've got to spray the ball wide as Conlon from the touchline gets another goal. Well, not quite from the touchline, but it was a good kick, and the score 28 points to 16 in favour of Canterbury. Stanton just updating his own statistics. As the siren sounds, the Winfield Cup final is over. That's the rehearsal, ladies and gentlemen. Now we stand by for the main event. It must not be twisted. It doesn't involve O'Neill and Streisand. It involves the two big guns of rugby league in the 80s, the Dogs and the Eels. There's the scoreboard. Canterbury 28, Langmack, Chris Mortimer, Steve Mortimer, Lamb tries. Lamb 5 goals and 2 drop goals. Balmain tries by Gale when it mattered. Jack and Schofield when it really didn't matter. And Conlon kicked 2 when it really didn't matter. 28 points to 16. Here's Graham with Warren Ryan.
Warren, the end of a tough week as far as the media and all the exposure about finding out this Canterbury side was going to take the field today.
Yeah, well, we've had a lot of trouble with our players. We've had a lot of injury, and we haven't dwelled on it, but I mean, it's been obvious that we've had those injuries, and you know, I think they've done a good job today. We've had to pour a lot of forwards into the game, and just to get the distance. So I'm pretty happy with how they went.
I thought it was the forwards that certainly won it in that first half.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'd say so.
Peter Kelly and Steve Folkes have all pulled up 100%.
Well, we'll know when we go in, but I was pretty happy to see both Peter Kelly and Steve Folkes get through their allotted section of the game and come off uninjured. So.
And Mortimer and Lamb found their feet today again?
Yeah, well, they did. I thought they both played pretty well too.
How confident is the side? 3 out of 3?
I don't know. That's got to be answered next week. We've got to see how we go with training, our first training session, just see how many are injured again, and it'll be hard, but I think they're the best football team Canterbury's ever had. I don't think there's any argument about that.
Congratulations on your performance today.
Okay.
A rather confident Ryan about the strength of this Canterbury Bankstown side. A break, then back with our man of the match.
Last week, Terry Lamb said he blamed himself for Canterbury's loss to Parramatta. Well, today he can take a lot of the credit. Congratulations, Terry. That was a big improvement.
Thanks, Bill. Yes, you could say probably 100% improvement to last week.
What do you think the difference was?
Folks, he said it, everybody said it, enthusiasm, keenness, just the will to win, and we went out and did it.
One more game to go, can you do it?
I think so, but it's the best team on the day, 13 players that do their best, and it's going to be a close one.
Well, you're used to this, but once again you've won $750 cash courtesy of NEC, as well as the NEC Game Ball Trophy.
Thanks very much, Bill. I'd like to thank NEC and Channel 10 for this award.
Steve, takes you back to last year's final. They seem to find their feet at the same time.
Yeah, it does take you back, mate. It's nice to reminisce. We'll probably do that tonight, but there'll be no reminiscing as of tomorrow, mate, that's for sure.
Parramatta, they've always seemed to be the side, the big hurdle. Parramatta or St George in recent years, and here it is. It's on again. Confident?
Well, I think there's still a lot of improvement in this, Graham. We dropped the critical ball towards the end of the game. I'm proud how the boys bounced back more than anything. I think that shows character, and I think it's going to be character that wins this grand final.
Show you also the meaning to this Canterbury Bankstown team of one Peter Kelly and one Steve Folkes.
Yes, mate. We knew Folkes was going to be on. I didn't know anything about Kel until about 2 o'clock. Warren said he got some good news. Kel phoned him this morning, wanted a bit of a fitness trial, and good as gold, mate, you know.
Well, Canterbury are certainly after their third Winfield Cup, and Peter Kelly's after his third man of the match in the grand final.
That's exactly right, mate. If I could just say one quick thing, I know he doesn't want the recognition, but I'd like to personally thank a bloke called Johnny Lewis and Jeff Fennick and his boxers for helping us bring the boys out a little bit more fitness, and I really, cheer. I know he doesn't want that, but I'm going to say it anyway.
You got a message for the Eels?
Oh, we'll see you at 3 o'clock next Sunday.
Benny, Canterbury too good today.
They played well. They played like a professional side, and to their credit, they come up trumps.
You played against both teams, Canterbury and Parramatta, on so many occasions this year. Do you have a fancy next Sunday?
Well, I'd like to sit on the fence here, Graham. I think Parramatta are a terrific side. I think they've got the world's best back line, and I think Canterbury got the world's best forwards, so it's going to be one of those games which is going to be probably 2 or 3 points. I'll probably have to lean to Parramatta because I think they might be able to maintain Canterbury in the forwards.
Welcome back now as we proceed to preview the grand final of next weekend between Canterbury Bankstown and Parramatta. And I guess the best refresher of all is to look at the times they've clashed during the 1986 Winfield Cup season. The first time, in fact, was round 10. The venue was Parramatta Stadium, and Canterbury defeated Parramatta by 21 points to 12. Sterling decides to push the ball, and Gross away from one. He got the pass inside for Kenny. Kenny inside for Taylor. Taylor inside for Sterling, and Sterling picks up the first try of this big clash between the Eels and the Bulldogs. Now Sterling, he's bugged in he's put it on the ground, so it's pressure now for Parramatta. This is Potter, tackled by Taylor, back to Campbell. He's tackled 20 metres out, right in front of the uprights. Now it's Langmack holding it back. Out it goes to Potter. This man is Farrer. They've got the numbers. Farrer gets a pass away, and Peter Mortimer strolls over for a try. 8 points all in the NEC big game. Lamb got the kick in. That's the shot. 15 points to 8 in favour of the Bulldogs. Turned inside nicely by Dunn, and outside it comes now. Chris Mortimer inside for Terry Lamb, over the top, touched by Parramatta. Hagan gets the ball away to Dunn. The referee didn't start the tackle count again.
This is looking ominous for Parramatta. Canterbury at the moment just too big and too strong.
Tunks. 3 metres out from the Parramatta line. Bugden looking for a try that he's almost come to believe is his entitlement against Parramatta. Peter Tunks from dummy half has scored Canterbury's third try. I wonder what thoughts are flooding through the mind of John Mooney. Ray Price, double movement. It'll be a penalty to Canterbury. It is. Taylor, Kenny, long ball to Sterling. They've got to score. Atkins gets the try that Parramatta's been working for the last 5 to 10 minutes. So that was the first encounter back in round 10 at the stadium, and certainly to defeat Parramatta on their home ground at the stadium takes a mighty effort, and Canterbury provided that. Of course, to beat Canterbury at Belmore Sports Ground is also requiring of a top effort, and Parramatta provided that in round 23 when they won by a point. It's a game where I firmly believe the old adage that the team who has the football for the longest period will win the match. But they've both fallen into errors as Muggleton gets it to Price. Barnes is with him. Price tackled. Beautiful tackle by Steve Mortimer. 5 tackles gone. Away for Sterling. Sterling puts the kick up high. Came off Lamb. He's juggled it. Casado's got the ball. They've got 6 more tackles, Parramatta. They've got to push the ball to the left. Sharp as the dummy half. Long ball to Sterling. Sterling holds it up. Gets it to Jackson. Jackson is tackled. Still a couple of metres out from the Canterbury line. Mosley away to Sterling. Sterling then to Delroy. Delroy dropped the ball. Delroy dropped the ball over the line. Here's Terry Lamb. Flick passes for Andrew Farrer. He beats Lee Beater. Gets it over then to Gillespie. On it goes to Hagan. Then to Mortimer.
And Mortimer is hit from behind by Muggleton. Tunks. Langmack. Frendo. Oh, how easy. But he's ruled a forward. He's ruled he's gone into touch, I do believe, Frendo. Mortimer. Robinson running off a pivot. Ah, good ball. Langmack. Choice of players from Hagan to Mortimer. And Steve Mortimer. Oh, he's passed the ball. Parramatta's come up with it. Well, I was about to put the binoculars down in agreement with that old cliche, put away your glasses. In fact, I had put mine down. I just thought the little fellow would scamper over and score. He put his ears back. He saw Chalmers coming. He looked to pass, got it away, and he got it to Brian Jackson. Tap by Mortimer, decides he'll take the first himself, plays it. Kelly, he's down on the second.
Tell you what, I think Warren Ryan's given a few of these forwards a rocket at half-time.
Played back to Hagan, away to Langmack. Langmack goes for the line. He can see it, but he can't reach it. Langmack to play it. That's the third tackle for Canterbury. Tunks might have a go himself. He does. He gets the ball out the back. Steve Mortimer dives over. Steve Mortimer is under the crossbar. Now it's Lamb. He kicks ahead. Sterling's back to cover. That'll be a 22-place kick. Well, he's all over the ground, Sterling, today. He's doing the work of three men. He's the kicker. He's the tactician. He goes back to full-back to clean up. Certainly one of the greatest footballers that I've had the pleasure of seeing, and he's out there today rubbing shoulders with some other greats, including Mortimer and Lamb. Yes, and it is Peter Sterling that is certainly going to have so much of the Parramatta game plan heaped upon his shoulders to carry out when he gets there at the cricket ground next Sunday. The major semi was their next meeting, and it was Parramatta 28, Canterbury 6. Mosley now sweeps it to Sterling. Scored by the man that Steve Mortimer this morning admitted was the man in the Parramatta team that worried him most. 6 metres in from touch, 22 metres out. Breeze with him. Gets it away all right. Looks okay. They look at it, the touch judges. It's a goal for Michael Cronin. This is Leabeater playing it only on their second tackle. Away to Sterling, the running wall, the kick in behind. Ella! It's a try for Parramatta's Steve Ella. Where the hell he came from, Steve Ella, I'm not sure. The dummy half is Muggleton. It's gone on to Cronin. The run around and the old man decides to go himself. Leabeater's with the ball now. Pops it out the back for Ray Price. On to Sterling. Sterling zips inside. The ball goes away to Ella. If he can pass it, they'll score. Dunn comes at Chalmers. Chalmers, he's too good. Chalmers too fast for the big men. Parramatta scores again in a corner that Neville Glover well remembers in the grand final many years ago. At Parramatta, it's affectionately known as Neville's corner. Ball played back and Langmack sweeps it across, and it's Hagan who couldn't take it cleanly. It was a bad pass, but Hagan's still able to make ground. Now it's Terry Lamb. Now it's gone on to Curry. I don't think that, yes they will. Chalmers picked him up and Curry is hurt.
Curry's torn a hamstring there. Just as he went down, he got hit from behind by Chalmers. He buckled back in the tackle, and I'm sure he's done a hammy.
So Price appears as though he's ready to play the ball now. And it's with Muggleton and, oh, Blurry! Easy! So easy! Blindside for Steve Mortimer over the halfway. Terry Lamb, they've stacked the blindside. Lamb's still going. Langmack's with him. He puts the kick in. Kenny, it's no knock on Kenny. I think you'll find it hit him right in the middle of his eye. And you can forget about it. As I said yesterday, with Gary Schofield, thank you linesman, thank you ball boys. Brett Kenny scores his second try at the Sydney Cricket Ground, something that has become habitual with Brett Kenny. Robinson now, and here's an example of what I was touching on earlier. The few times Canterbury had the ball, they were able to run past the advantage line and reach the defence line easily as Campbell gets the ball out the back. Chris Mortimer crosses the 22, gets it to his brother Steve. A wide ball for Terry Lamb. Lamb gets it back for Steve Mortimer. He floats a long ball out to Phil Segsworth. He's only 15 metres out.
where Kenny and Sterling combined to bring him down. 5 tackles gone for the Bulldogs. Andrew Farrer puts up the kick. It's high towards the uprights, and up goes the winger, and bringing it down is Chalmers.
Now Sterling. Long ball. Muggleton comes to Campbell. He did well, Campbell. He had to leave his wing. There was awful trouble behind him if he misses the tackle. Delroy sweeps it up.
And scores! Chalmers!
Sigsworth going back to the 10-metre line. Away from Mosley, and in between Mosley and Ella, Sterling has to chase and make the tackle. Tunks. Terry Lamb. Lamb's inside the 32. Will he go all the way? He lofts the pass out for Andrew Farrer, and Canterbury are on the board. 28 points to 4. Let's watch the kick from Farrer. It left the boot well. It's a goal by Andrew Farrer. Nice kick from a wide point. 28 points to 6 in favour of the Eels.
With me, I've got the Penrith hooker and captain, and also the Australian hooker, Roy Simmons, who must have been impressed by that performance by Canterbury today.
Well, that was the Canterbury role, Bill. I think the uncharacteristic things that happened last week just went out the window today, and they just fell back into their old machine of grind away, and take control. And they did it. It was a pleasure to sit up and watch them, and they're a professional outfit, and they're going to be very hard to beat from here, I think.
Well, in last week's semi-final, it looked all Parramatta. They got away with Canterbury very easily. Would you change your mind today and say that Canterbury could win the grand final now?
Well, it's going to be very tight, and it's on again next week, Bill, as we always say, but I had a slight leaning to Canterbury, mainly because of their forwards and how they're prepared to wait 80 minutes to win a game, and not many sides are. I've seen Balmain the other day. They worked hard to, they were prepared to spin the ball, where Canterbury were just happy to grind away and wait for things to happen, and they did happen, and they took control. And I don't know, I think Balmain's big game next week will be the first 10-15 minutes, so can they spread the ball and look for a few gaps. If the gaps don't come, I decide leaning the Canterbury to just take control and go on with it.
Do you think that if Parramatta are going to win the match, they've got to score early?
Yeah, I do. I come back to that. They've got to score in the first, say, 20 minutes, I think, and that's where, and if they do, their confidence will grow and they'll be hard to beat. If they don't, I can just see the Canterbury machine just starting to grind away again and work for a result.
Where will Parramatta try to play the game?
Oh, out wide. They've got to, mate. They'll be working with Sterling, Kenny, Cronin, Ella, combination out wide growth. And they'll be trying to get around the edges of Canterbury, who, as we all know, defend in, trying to cut things off. And if they can get around them, well, there'll be points to be earned. If they can't early in the game, I think the Canterbury machine might take over.
Royce, thanks for talking to us.
Thanks, Bill.
Well, I guess between now and next Sunday, wherever rugby league people get together, the topic of discussion is going to centre around who's going to win it, the Eels or the Bulldogs. Let's start the ball rolling at this rather early stage with our co-commentators, Bill Anderson with Graham Hughes.
Thanks, Ray. Well, I think I mentioned on the last Monday night football game that I lent to Parramatta. My heart is starting to get the better of me after Canterbury's performance in the final here against Balmain. Billy Anderson, can the Parramatta forwards, or will they let the Canterbury forwards get away with what they got away with against the Tigers?
Well, I don't think they'll do that, Graham. Canterbury will put up a much stronger performance than Balmain did today. I think that Canterbury are going to come into this game fit. They're going to come into this game fresh. Grand finals are won in the forwards, and it's going to probably cut pretty even in that area.
What about the first 10 to 15 minutes? Is that the crunch, or is it going to be, say, first 10 to 15 in the second half for Canterbury Bankstown?
No, I think you're spot on. I don't think this is so much a game of where it's going to be won or lost as so much as when it's going to be won or lost. I think that Parramatta, if they're going to win it, have got to register first points on the board. If they can do that, they should be able to keep their nose in front. But if Canterbury are a side that are prepared to hang on, they're a team that's prepared to wait to win games. If they're able to do that, if they're prepared to keep in the match until half-time, I think Canterbury then will win it.
OK, so is that sitting on the fence, Billy, or is it...
Well, after I went home last week, I was convinced I'd seen the winner. I thought that Parramatta was the most awesome performance I'd seen this year. Today, I'm not so sure, but I'm still going to stick with the Eels. OK. Well, I think I've said in my piece, I'm leaning back towards Canterbury Bankstown, Ray. Take a leaf out of Steve Goshen's book here. I think the crunch is going to be decided between the halves, and what great halves both these teams do have.
All right, there it is from Graham Hughes and from Bill Anderson. And Graham, Canterbury, Bill, Parramatta. Now, next Sunday, our telecast will start at 10 o'clock in the morning as we cover the the Winfield Cup Grand Final day, the feature event, the main event, Parramatta versus Canterbury. But in front of that, we'll have the live telecast of the 23s between Souths and Penrith, followed by the reserve grade grand final between Parramatta and Eastern Suburbs. And of course, intermingled before and in between and right through the day, we'll cover all of the grand final entertainment. If you can't make it to the cricket ground, just stay right where you are and you'll enjoy it, I'm sure, just like as if you were here at the cricket ground. The entertainment, the pageantry, it's a sports day not to be missed, and certainly a day that I think we at Channel 10 have proven we can cover as well, if not better, than anyone.